Good evening, everybody. Bruchim Abayim, welcome everybody. We're going to talk about this week's Parshas Shoftim. This is something pretty amazing. I never heard it said over like this. I'll say it double b'shem Oimrei. I heard it from Rabbi Shlomo Katz, Zolkazun. He's a singer who's I've seen him in a few places here and there. I think by Rabbi Weinberg Shul maybe. And Rabbi Katz said like this. When it says in this week's Parsha that it says Mikarev Achecha Melech, that from the midst of your brethren you should appoint for yourself a king, and you cannot take an Ish Nochri you cannot take a foreigner who's not your brother to be your king. So of course this plain meaning the halacha is that even though we're Makabel Gerim, we accept converts in Judaism, a convert can't be a king. And the convert's son could be the king, the grandson could be the king, the convert himself can't be the king. But when it says your brethren, let's just take that at face value. For someone to be a king, he has to mamish be your brother. Literally, he has to be your brother. You have to feel a brotherhood, and he said by David and Melech, the whole Klal Yisrael, even though it says that we're Nehem Shel David, so it's not so simple what he's saying that everybody loved David and Melech like a brother. Maybe they hated him like a brother. Sometimes brothers fight too. So everybody literally felt that David and Melech was their brother. Whether they loved him, they hated him, they all felt he was their brother, right? I never had brothers, I only had sisters, but then there's what they say, a brother from another mother. That's how everybody's supposed to feel about the king. Whether it was David Melech, Shlomo Melech, was King David, King Solomon, Chizkiyahu Melech, King Hezekiah, Yoshiyahu Melech, King Josiah. He was our brother. He wasn't some guy sitting, up on the throne, aloof from everybody else, in an ivory tower. He was your brother, and David Melech was mamish. He was mamish a brother, He was every man. He was the saint and the sinner. He was the poor shepherd boy, the youngest in his family, and he was the mighty king, the warrior. He was the musician. He was the poet. He was the sweet singer of Israel. He was the leader. He was someone who had problems in his life. He had a kupa, shel shratzim toil al tzavare, Chazal say. He didn't have the most illustrious lineage. He didn't have such yichus. But he was our brother. And we all felt the Brüderschaft, the brotherhood from David Melech. And David Melech Yisrael Chai B'Kayim, Ad Hayom. We open up to Elim. Mamish feel this is a guy who really understands us. This is our brother. And as much as you don't say a guy on any of the Nevi'im and Tzaddikim like that, but still sof kol sof. So he was our brother, and he was the penitent also. He was the Baal Tshuva, and he was the FFB. He was everybody, and it was interesting because Sholem Melech wasn't like that, right? Sholem Melech was the king, he was up on the throne, and he was head and shoulders above the rest. He was too good for his own good, and that's why his malchus didn't last. David Melech, his malchus is David Melech Yisrael Chai B'Kayim, because he was Mikarev Achecha. Not only he was a brother, he was Mikarev Achecha. Rabbi Katz didn't point that out. He was from the innermost depths, the closeness, the Mikerev, from Loshen of Kirev, of close, and from Kerev, from the insides, from Kirboy, from the deepest depths of brotherhood. That's where a king has to be. And we know, like Agrippas and Melech, he was crying when he read that because he felt like, he comes from Bnei Edom, he's from Hordis HaMelech, he was the Anikel from Herod the Great, but his mother was Jewish, so the Chachamim said, Achinu ata, Achinu ata, Achinu ata. You are our brother, you are our brother, you are our brother. But it was more than that. Agrippas HaMelech, a Gevein, a Grois Tzaddik, And so mamish, he was a chinuata. He was the brother. And so, we have to embrace this, because it's not just talking about Malcha Yehuda, Malcha Yisrael. Every one of us has to be a shtikla king. And that Koenigschaft that we have to embody has to be a Brüderschaft, has to be a brotherhood. We cannot make ourselves feel like we're better than anybody else. And if we are a person who is in a leadership position, it has to be, at least we're a big brother, Maybe there's still, you're a covered, but we're still a brother. And that brotherhood, that's not only Avinu Malkeinu, but it's Achinu Malkeinu, that we have a brother who's a king. The real depths of that comes from what we talked about before, that it says that he shouldn't lift up his heart above his brethren. He has to, and the only way to do that is through Torah. Meaning, we learn Brüderschaft, we learn brotherhood from the Torah, because the Torah is not, and we said also that the Torah transfigurates us. We become a living, walking Torah. That's the brotherhood of the Torah. But the thing is, we become that Torah brother, right? How? How does that happen? Because the Torah humbles us, and because the Torah guides us, and because the Torah teaches us, because the Torah is not just another subject, like we were saying before. It's not like the story with Bertrand Russell where he said Einstein's not a triangle, that Rabbi Weinberger always says, meaning that a Yid has to be lebedika sefer Torah. We have to be the walking Word of God. We have to be the embodiment of the Word of God. We have to be the Torah. But the Torah is not, Judaism is not a religion that encourages hermitage, We are in the world. Maybe not of the world, but we are in the world. We're not, we're not, if we're not in the city or among the people as the holy people, how can we impart that holiness on others? If we sequester ourselves and cloister ourselves. So we're in the world in order to be that brotherhood, not just really, because Shlomo Melech took it further, right? That Mikerev Achecha understood that we're all brothers because we're all from Adam Rishon, and he sought the unity of all the nations of the world. That's what it means, Mikerev Achecha, from the inner depths of the brotherhood. So that's what it means, that it's not just that the simple halacha, which is true, that a king can't be a ger. Just like in America, they took the same idea. The president cannot be an immigrant, right? The president has to be born American, and the king has to be born Jewish. Okay, that's the plain, simple meaning of it. The depth of it is that if you really want to succeed, like David HaMelech, when Michal looked at him, she's like, "What are you doing? You're debasing yourself in front of these simple, commoners." And he said, "No, he said, no, I'll debase myself even more than this, because I'm worshiping God. I will humble myself. I'm not going to make myself into some kind of a big shot. No, I'm gonna be a brother with everybody, and I'm gonna dance, and I'm gonna not make myself be supreme over anybody else." That's the way to accomplish things in leadership too. I mean, look at President Trump was a Heverman. The people who really love President Trump, they mamish feel like he's like your buddy. He's your brother. You want to hang out with him, you know, because he's just like a normal guy. I mean, people I know, they met him and they say he's just so normal and down to earth, and that's why he's matzliach, not like this. So, hello, making 2 videos now. So, and that aspect of just being normal. Can you put that back? And just being a brother, being more of ben abrius. That's how you're gonna succeed. Thank you for watching. And that's not only about Malchus. It's not even being the president. Wherever you have your leadership roles, it's all like that. Thank you for watching. God bless. Please like, share, and subscribe. Comment. We'll see you later.